So here's a brief overview of the VCE curriculum. Physical education is a subject that contributes to a student's VCE or Victorian Certificate of Education accreditation. There are 4 units overall that need to be completed in PE in order to achieve satisfactory result. Units 1 and 2 we'll be focusing on. However, for your information, Unit 3 is called Movement Skills and Energy for Physical Activity. Unit 4, Training to Improve Performance. Units 1 and 2 results and achievement do not need to be reported to the VCAA and are therefore not important. Generally completed in the final 2 years of education is Units 1, 2, 3 and 4. There are no prerequisites for entry into Units 1, 2 and 3, which means you can join this at any time. However, you must undertake Unit 3 to be eligible to undertake Unit 4. So for this assessment, we're going to be focusing on Unit 1 and 2, and we're actually going to look at Unit 1 very closely. So Unit 1 is the human body in motion. So what are you actually going to be studying? You're going to be studying how the musculoskeletal and cardiorespiratory systems function. You're going to study how musculoskeletal and cardiorespiratory systems work together to produce movement. And you're going to look at the relationships between the body systems and physical activity, sport, and exercise. And what you're going to be looking at is how the systems adapt and adjust to the demands of activity. How are you going to study this? Well, you're going to be doing practical and theoretical activities throughout your whole unit, and these will be set by the teacher. In them, you're going to be investigating the role and function of the main structures in each system. You're going to discover how these systems respond to sport and exercise. And then you're going to be asked to evaluate the social, cultural, and environmental influences on movement. You're also going to be considering the implications of the use of legal and illegal practices, explore how and why these practices improve performance. You are going to be asked to evaluate perceived benefits and describe any potential harms of these illegal and legal practices. And then you're going to be asked to recommend and implement strategies to minimize the risk of illness or injury to each system that you study in this unit. So there are 2 areas of study in the Unit 1. Area of Study 1 is how the musculoskeletal system works to produce movement. And Area of Study 2, how does the cardiorespiratory system function at rest and during physical activity. Area of Study 1, what you're actually going to be doing is examining the musculoskeletal system of each body and how the muscles and bones work together to produce movement. You can explore the major components of the musculoskeletal system and their contributions and interactions during physical activity, sport, and exercise. You're going to evaluate the social, cultural, and environmental influences on movement and discover how the capacity and functioning of the muscular and skeletal systems may act as an enabler or a barrier to participation in physical activity. Let's look at the outcomes of Area of Study 1. At the end of Area Study 1, and once you have finished studying Area Study 1, you should be able to explain how the musculoskeletal system functions and its limiting conditions. You're going to be able to evaluate the ethical and performance implications of the use of practices and substances that enhances human movement. Area of Study 2, you're going to be able to examine the cardiovascular and respiratory systems of the human body and explain how the heart, blood vessels, and lungs function at rest and during physical activity. You're going to be able to explore the structure and function of the cardiorespiratory system and their contributions and interactions during physical activity, sport, and exercise. You're going to discover enablers and barriers to the capacity and functioning of the cardiovascular and respiratory systems, and how they are investigated from a socio-cultural, environmental, and physical perspective. You're going to explore the ethical and performance considerations of the use of a variety of legal and illegal practices and the substances specific to each system. You're going to be able to explain how the cardiovascular and respiratory systems function and the limiting conditions of each system, and discuss the ethical performance implications of the use of practices and substances to enhance the performance of these two systems. How are you going to be assessed? Well, first of all, Unit 1 is set by the school, so all assessments at Unit 1 and 2 are school-based. So the procedures of assessment of levels of achievement in Units 1 and 2 are a matter of school decision and will be up to the school ultimately. However, the core assessment task for the outcomes of Area Study 1 and 2 is a written report, and this will be analysing participation in at least 4 physical activities that demonstrate how musculoskeletal and cardiorespiratory systems work together to produce movement. Additionally, the teacher will set at least one task for the assessment of each of outcomes 1 and 2, which are to be selected from a selected list, and you can find this in the following slide. There is a list on the page. So where can you find more information? Well, you can find it from the VCAA website, which is here. You can also download the Physical Education VCE study design by clicking on the second link. And this has multiple resources, including sample unit summaries, which are very useful, frequently asked questions about the Unit 1 and 2, and this is actually a great resource because you can also look at 3 and 4. And it also supplies clarification statements in regards to specific content that may be complex or people aren't too sure on. So there's the summary of Unit 1. Thank you.